This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Okay, calling to order the meeting of the Ad Hoc Grant Search Committee for May 13th. And here comes Ted at about 1:05. And so we have Kate and myself from the Grant Committee and our buddies from the COA here. So Christina and Kate and Ted Palmer joining in, and Janet Kane. So great. So we're here. I don't see anybody else, I'm assuming, for open time for the public. So let's just kind of jump in briefly on some business here. And I think we were going to take a look and see where you all were with narrowing down the focus of this potential grant. And I'll share, I think I can share this. I believe this was Kate. This was your document, I think, that you had in here. I'm going to try and not make it as big as it was. Why is it so big? There we go. Let's just zoom it down a little bit. Maybe that's a little bit better. Anyway, I didn't see any particular input in here yet, so I guess we'll turn it over to you guys. Have you managed to figure out which one of the three categories you want to try and work on?
Yes, we did. So first, just to give a little background, we were really trying to decide between transportation and senior center modernization. And I don't know if I can speak for everyone, but I was going in between because the senior center modernization category, I think, would be an easier proposal to create. It was concrete items. Not a lot of research. I mean, obviously there is research, but there's not a lot of research into it. And it was things you could see too that would last and we could bring to the new building, and it was permanent. But on the other hand, I think most people would agree in terms of greatest need was probably transportation, in terms of, helping the people were not able to help with rides and et cetera, et cetera. But, Pam, Kate, and I discussed this, and not only was that going to be a harder proposal at this stage, but then we would have to, we would need someone to be dedicated to implementing it. And being down a person and being as crazy as we are, we weren't necessarily as confident about transportation at this point. Kate also mentioned, and I see them too, there are other transportation grants that come through. It doesn't mean we couldn't find another way when we're ready, or even do some of these things on our own. Like we said about some of the other categories, just because we're not applying for it through the SIG doesn't mean we can't pursue it otherwise. So long story short, at least the three of us decided we were going to go with senior center modernization. But that's kind of where we have left it as of this meeting today. So no, we have not actually started plugging in information yet. But we were still discussing it, as of last Thursday. So, well, maybe Wednesday, but yeah, we figured, we could ask, again, modernization could look like outdoor furniture, another television, a rolling TV, the signage for this Council on Aging really appealed to me because even when I was thinking about all of this, I got 2 different calls last week about where's the senior center? Oh, it's behind town hall. So it's obviously an ongoing issue. So I still feel like there's the trick would be trying to tie it all together, but there are a few things we can go, ask for under this category. I don't know if you wanted to add anything, Kate.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I know we also, we talked about the looping system and some assisted hearing devices as well.
Yes.
That we believe would be beneficial for us long term, especially if we're able to bring in other performances or speakers. And but yeah, just to echo what Christina was mentioning, it seems more tangible for us to be able to do something like this and a little bit more friendly in terms of like staffing hours once we're able to utilize this. And it also expands our space, especially for the outside. It'd be nice to be able to extend outside without having to necessarily leave the footprint of the building. So this one seemed to be the best option moving forward.
Yep. Good.
You know how you get a quote for the loop system? Because I did a little bit of reading and research on these loop systems, and for senior centers, it said that the cost could range between $5,000 to $35,000. So just like, that. And I wonder if that would really truly be a portable system that you could just like extract and put into the new building, because if it's, when I looked it up, it was wires around the outside of the room. Mm-hmm. And so I wasn't quite sure if you'd just be able to like pop that out and put it into the new day center. Not that I wanted that to deter you at all, but obviously if it's going to be, $25,000 or $30,000, it might kind of exhaust all of the available funds that you could apply for.
Right.
Yeah. There are portable systems that you can buy. They run about $1,000. I was looking at those this weekend. So I think because of the fact that even just with the space limitation, our audience wouldn't be that gigantic. Mm-hmm. We'd be able to utilize something, especially if we ended up having like reserved seating towards the front or in a specific area, knowing what the radius of the looping system would be. But
that's a great idea.
Yeah, I did look at them a little bit, and the portable ones are about $1,000. So they have hit or miss ratings. That was something I was kind of filtering through, but yeah, the price tag was a little shocking with some of the other ones.
Yeah. I wonder if there's any other senior centers that might have that included somewhere already that we could ask about, which system they bought into and what their experience has been, et cetera.
I could post something on MCOA, reach out to see if anybody get any answers.
Sure. And it doesn't even have to be necessarily, Western Mass. It could be Connecticut for that matter, or Vermont, whatever. But just to find out if there's anybody out there. But yeah, I think that would be good just to get a sense of what's recommended maybe.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah. Hi, Ted.
Hi there. So from the select board's point of view, the outdoor furniture would be left outside, probably wrapped in black plastic or something. In the wintertime, we have no place to store it. Do you foresee any problems, objections, the way it's going to look behind the building?
Good question. What are we talking about doing? Something more than picnic tables, I gather. So more comfy chairs and other kind of, like umbrella type tables, or what are we talking about?
Well, I looked at a couple. They have like small bistro tables, like just 2 feet across, that take a couple of chairs, but only 2 people can sit there. Yeah. Because the width of the cement is not that wide. And then I thought perhaps a more reasonable thing might be an outdoor glass or plastic glass top table that would be the size of a card table. And you could push 2 of those together, and 4 or 5 people could have coffee in the morning. So they wouldn't be overly large, but it would be a series of small tables. And actually, I guess in the original proposal, I also suggested new picnic tables, which run about $1,000 each, because our current picnic tables weigh 300 pounds and they're not accessible. People have to crawl over the seats, so they're really not good. So I think if we're going to put a bunch of things in here, I definitely would put in at least 2 accessible picnic tables, and they run around $1,000.
Yeah. And is that, are these just, the benches are just not attached? Is that it? Or they move out? How are they?
The benches are attached.
They're underneath.
But there's just a steel pipe that goes down underneath them on the ground and under the table. So there's nothing that blocks your legs. You can sit down at the end and slide in. You don't have to lift your legs over anything.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, but these tables would have fixed benches on each side. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
I mean, offhand, I mean, I don't know if I can totally answer that, Ted. My first reaction would be, to put picnic tables somewhat, undercoverish on the cement part of the cement slab, at least, and cover the picnic tables. I don't think that would be overly objectionable. If they were smaller items, I mean, myself and a couple of other people have inventoried all the excess equipment that's down in the basement of Town Hall now. And it's a matter of getting that up on the state auction site and getting rid of it. I mean, there's a whole ton of everything from computers to TV screens to whatever down there. So, assumingly, that will move out of the way before the fall. And I would think that there could be some spots down in the basement to store some smaller stuff without it being, too much in the way at all. That would be on my first thought anyway.
Yeah, the card table size outdoor glass top tables, those can be moved and could be moved and stored, right, along with the chairs to go with them. So a little research would need to be done to define that. But the picnic tables, Chris, would be the same design and material as the benches currently at the pickleball courts. Those green benches. That's what these picnic tables look like. They're the same thing.
I'm wondering, is there enough money in there to buy a storage shed as part of our modernization, since we have no storage and we got rejected by capital?
But don't bring that up.
Not that we won't go back there again next year, but I mean, maybe again, how much is the total amount for this?
25,000.
So I mean, it's a possibility. I mean, can't hurt.
Remind me, Janet, I say we, but really you and Francine, when you went and looked at those sheds and got quotes, you already went with basically the cheapest with
strip down.
Right.
I'm trying to remember, Christina, because do you have the quote? Was it an 8x10 or I'm trying to remember the size of it.
I know. Let me try to find. I do have it. It's a matter of finding it, but
yeah, you can find it I don't know what everybody else thinks, but if we, I don't know if that's part of the modernization, but if we have outdoor area and we don't have storage, just a thought.
Well, I mean, in the shed, I mean, when we wrote up, for the shed, it was with the idea that we'd have outdoor furniture to put away, but also we could put things like the heat lamps that are in one of our closets in there and stuff. So, because we were thinking back at that application that we wanted outdoor furniture. So.
Okay, my phone has stopped ringing now.
Were these I'm trying to think, was this like there's a group down on the Westfield line there that has I don't know if they're prefab storage sheds or something like that, sort of?
Yeah, that's
super expensive.
Are they?
Well, it was $6,500 for an 8x10.
65?
Yeah.
And change. Plus we would have to do some, probably hire the highway department to level out a spot in the upper parking lot.
Right.
I would say this is just from a reader perspective. I really like the idea of focusing, if you are going to look towards furniture, focusing on accessibility and making it so that space, just really, because I just feel like asking for furniture is one thing and making it accessible by all might be read a little bit differently. And if a storage shed is needed to store accessible furniture, I think it just sounds good.
Absolutely.
And I think the other thing, because we only have one large room, it's very hard to have a small, quiet area for people to have a nice social conversation. There's just, it just expands our space, which is.
Right. So the argument, yes, that great point, Kate. So the so-called argument in our proposal would be, I was picturing, yes, about accessibility, but just the fact that we don't have space, and this is the only possible way right now in our current that we could expand our space, that we don't have access to another way. And so we could talk about, the other things that we could have going on while our current programming is happening. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And is this something that people are asking for?
We have heard feedback about people wishing that we had kind of a seating area to enjoy like coffee or talk with a friend.
Yeah.
And although we have times they can certainly do that, it's hard because often, there's an exercise class going on or a performance. So
yeah. Well,
I just think about sensory, like sensory overload, right? Like around too many people being in a particular area and only having one room to congregate in. Like, how could you frame it around like expanding, diversifying how you're trying to make the space or making the space more flexible to accommodate people who, think that the room is too loud or crowded or having trouble hearing.
Yeah.
Does anyone,
go ahead.
Does anyone have information? We already have an outdoor awning that can be mentioned, but we have nothing underneath it. Does anybody have information from before? Did people used to go out there? I mean, did the staff carry tables out and that's how they used it and carried tables back in, which we don't want to replicate. We want to do that again. But I mean, was it used at all before?
Yeah. We've had our coffee morning out there before. And then also like cornhole just got moved out there too, front of the awning area. But there have been people that have gone out and had coffee. There's been comments that people want to sit outside, but the picnic tables are also kind of, you've seen them, they're getting a little bit shredded. So could easily get slivers on those too. So it hasn't been anything that we've done since last year.
They talked about, people have approached me about, can we expand the concrete and go into the grass and kind of like bring in a backhoe? And we're like, probably not. So there is that desire though for people to have that capability that we've been approached about for a couple of years now.
Yeah. Yeah. We had gotten the awning under the CARES Act money, and that I think for a while anyway, it certainly was being used, but it was more people were kind of dragging out a chair here and there and congregating. I don't recall any tables being set up out there necessarily. Maybe the picnic table got moved over once toward the shade or something, but not, they're so heavy to move. I think that's the challenge. And I don't know, Ted, back on that for a second. Are these the kind of picnic tables that are made out of that recycled material, like recycled plasticky type stuff, or
it's more metal?
I don't know. I mean, they have the metal grid that they're made of has a polymer plastic coating, the green coating on top. So I have no idea if the coating on them is recyclable material or not.
Yeah, no, I'm just wondering because a lot of benches around parks these days are just made out of some kind of recycled plastic kind of stuff. They're much more durable than your typical wood, I think, in the long run. But
they would be good. Yeah. I don't think we're looking.
But the other thing, it's something to think about. But a lot of those recycled plastic, like Adirondack chairs, they weigh a ton. The material weighs a ton. They're very, very heavy.
Okay.
Which if you don't have to move them, is not an issue if you don't have to move them. But they're not easily movable.
And I think Adirondack chairs that design, as much as they're comfortable, are as we get older, they're
too low.
Right.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I mean, it's for me. I picture some small tables on the concrete with chairs, right? Hopefully, a couple smaller tables could be pushed together if 5 or 6 people want to sit at the same place. And then, of course, the picnic tables remain on the grass, right? That's what's in my head. I don't know, Kate, if that's what you think is appropriate.
Yeah, I like that idea. The one question I have is, do we need to maintain like an accessibility corridor on the pavement, given the fact there's emergency exits from the back of the building? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I think it's a good question. I had thought about it a little bit. I actually asked Francine this morning when I saw her in the wintertime, if there's a big storm, when they do the plowing and all that, whether they shovel around the building to get to that door. She said in her memory, they don't. But of course it does need to be accessible. And I think the cement is wide enough. So even if you had some small tables there, people could get through there, but
even if we
Okay.
push them, we talked about having because somebody said, well, how do we secure them so they don't get stolen? So we get kind of a chain and a padlock and just go through so at night we can kind of secure them so they don't walk away during the nighttime, and just kind of loop the chain around the group and then unloosen it in the morning. So it's not, because I think people were concerned about theft if they're too light, but,
Yeah.
I think the socialization and addressing loneliness and giving people a place to relax and converse, and and we don't really have that inside the center.
Do you think that it would be helpful to, I'm actually looking on some different websites about accessible or ADA compliant furniture. Maybe, kind of as a next step, we could, or someone could measure the patio just to see what's going to fit, because we're going to need that for the budget. And then I think we could just write the proposal to whatever furniture you need and say, this would allow for, the coffee hour, the quiet socialization, more private meetings, or,
I absolutely agree. And I think that some of the outdoor glass top tables, like the size of a card table, I think they were 31 inches square. I think we should take one of the card tables, measure it, take it out onto the patio and see what it looks like with a couple of chairs. I'd like to see a similar table in place before we decide.
So I'm looking at some accessible, the metal coated with that plastic material, and the cost ranges pretty vastly, from, $800 to $2,000. So, and I see some of these wheelchair accessible, picnic style tables that have the picnic table that sticks out longer on the end, but they look pretty big.
I think they would be too big if you tried to put them on the concrete. Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, good ideas anyway.
Yeah.
It's interesting because some of the I'm just looked online too, as far as ADA accessible, picnic tables. They're more octagonal, so they have, so it's not a long, what we think of as a picnic table necessarily. It could be kind of like what they have in the back of Sheldon's, how they have those different sections and they're kind of movable, and it's more conversational in a round table than
it's like a part of the bench swings out.
Yeah, for those ones,
yeah, those are possible. Okay, all right. Well, I mean, I think those are all good points. I mean, it seems like it would be easy enough to to build a budget and so forth around concrete items. I agree with you. I think the whole transport issue is something to work on in the future, but I don't foresee us. I think the question came up last meeting whether or not we could really manage with, even though we might have a lot of volunteer drivers and people wanting to not minding to take somebody to a doctor's appointment in their own car, etc. I really do think it's a personal choice, but it's an insurance issue that I'm pretty sure the town insurance would not cover. I haven't really looked into it in depth with Scott, but I'm pretty sure that would be a little bit of a challenge for us to use personal cars that are not a town-owned vehicle to do that.
Yeah.
So I think it's a future,
right?
It's an immediate need and future possibility. But I think right now I would tend to agree with you that this seems to be the more reasonable one to go to. So I think there's basically just these 4 or 5 questions here. There's not a lot of things about how will they benefit from it? How will you track it and evaluate the impact of it? I mean, I think all those things you could set up something to do that,
right?
Without too much trouble.
Right.
So any other thoughts on this? The budget is broken down, I think, here.
I'll also mention that the Friends group, Francina had offered that the Friends group, if we needed an in-kind amount, which of course grants like to see that, grant applications, that they would be willing to contribute towards some, the furniture. So.
Yep. Okay. Must be spelling that wrong still. There we go.
It might be helpful to think about going to the question above, I don't know, above or below this, about how many people you think will be impacted. Like maybe think of a couple of specific programs that you could offer that could utilize that space in a different way, and try to think of it from like an inclusivity perspective, or about how it might help you to expand programming, maybe for some people that really want the outdoor access.
I mean, my vision was it would be less about scheduled programming in that space, and more just actually, adding space, as I said, for people to actually just come in, not for a scheduled event, but just to come in and socialize and get together with friends and that sort of thing. So I don't know if we need to think about that differently, but at least that was my vision, because that's what we're really lacking, is a space for anyone to, unless they're coming for a specific programming or event, there's not really a space for people a lot of the time. So.
And the thing with
on the other hand, it might strengthen the grant application
right.
if we could say we were going to do some expanded programming.
Well, that's why I said
that might make a stronger application.
No, I agree. That's why I was saying that's how I was thinking of it. But yes, maybe we need to think of it differently then.
And I think when you think about the Wednesday morning coffee group, I mean, that group has grown, and there's no other morning to host that because activities are going on. So it's just giving that more frequently throughout the week instead of just the once a week opportunity too.
Yep.
So.
Yeah.
I think saying, okay, the coffee group has been really popular and it's requested often, but this patio furniture would allow for us to offer 2 coffee sessions or something, like kind of concrete about it.
Yeah.
Coffee sessions.
Or even daily if they wanted to do it daily, know.
Right. Would any of the any of the cribbage or card games go outside?
I was just thinking about card games. I'm like, hope it's not too windy.
Yeah, I would.
I mean,
I would
maybe
think offering right. It would have to be something like that. In other words, versus trying to get our healthy bones and balance class out there. So right, something like that.
Yeah, and Mahjong.
Yep.
You have a Mahjong group.
Yep, they're playing right now.
Yeah.
Anything that couldn't possibly blow away if a nice wind comes along.
True.
Do you think it's worth mentioning, like, we don't have office space, so even just to have like a one-on-one conversation, like say I needed to meet with somebody, we could go and meet outside and have a separate conversation without necessarily having to like book out the select board room or I don't know, even just for like the impromptu things.
I think that ability to meet with people in privacy, with privacy, is certainly a concern, and therefore I think it would be a strong reason to use the space.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. Then we'd have to think about not only the impacts, but then how you're going to document this. I mean, I think that's always the challenge of, what do you consider the best practices for this? And if you had like the portable TV or whatever you were going to do for programming, how, what difference would that make? I mean, they've got their newsletter, but they would come in every day and they'd have a sense of what's happening that day at the center, right? I mean, that's the idea. You'd put up every day's events rather on the TV. Is that right?
Correct.
It seems like there's a software program that does that, and Hadley had it, and I don't remember the name of the actual software program, but if somebody could give a call there. And
I believe, and I haven't been in Hadley, but I know I've seen in other centers, it's not one image of like the schedule, schedule switches to maybe an upcoming event on the screen for a set, like it cycles through different, different things. So
there's a cheap way to do that and there's an expensive way to do that. The cheapest way to do that is to create images through like an Amazon slideshow, like an Amazon photo. But like, I know what you're talking about. I worked at Armbrook and we had like this thing that would have like fun facts or upcoming programming or like, did you know it's blank day? It's cookie day or something like that. Come have a cookie with, but I also think of, I know that they're really thinking about how to expand programming to offer virtual programming. So I feel like, maybe that's just something to think about with your portable TV.
Yeah, so it's a dual purpose thing. There's a TV for events, and we have a TV and we could get the software. And then there's the portable TV, which helps with the events, with making it more accessible outside.
Captioning.
With captioning.
There is apparently an app, if you have an Amazon Fire or a Google Fire TV, this Display Now digital signage player. I don't understand all the details, but apparently if you have the right kind of TV and you have to pay for this app,
We have one in our lobby that just has the an Amazon account with a slideshow. Like I have photos loaded into my Amazon account, and it's free, and it's just pictures that circle through, and I just delete them off when I'm done with them. But I just think, in terms of asking for a TV, incorporating how it would improve accessibility would help to, just will help your case.
Right.
Like I think about how are you going to make it more inclusive? How are you going to include more people? I think about remote programming, and I think about captioning for, hearing and vision impaired folks. Do you have Zoom?
Yes. We got our Zoom account on our current SIG grant. So
Right.
Does that need to be extended since that was only for 6 months?
No.
no.
Zoom, I think the Zoom you got for the whole year, didn't you?
Yes, it was a year.
Oh, okay, because I was going to say we could make it so you have a TV that you could use with the Zoom.
So Kate, could you maybe just send around whatever you're talking about for the Amazon thing? Whatever you're using.
Sure. Yeah, it's just
because I think that would be helpful.
Photos in an Amazon account. Yep.
Yeah, just to send that around, because if that's the easiest thing to do and it works, I mean, we could at least start with something like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, okay. Good. Anything else offhand? Sounds like some good ideas here. So, Christina, remind me, I think the deadline is the 23rd?
3rd.
So we've got about 10 days to pull it together here.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. So shall we sort of have this? We've got this. This is the shared Google Doc. As far as I know, I was typing in it. So it should all save, I think, right, Kate? Once I close out, I don't need to save it again. It should save, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So should we just aim at, oops, I lost you. Should we aim at people coming back in? I think I lost myself now. Hold on. There we go. Today's whatever day it is. Today's Monday. So say by Thursday, everybody try to put in whatever thoughts you have and try to weave in some narrative, maybe a little bit. And, at least before the end of this week is over, to make a good stab at it. And I don't know, do you want to divide it up where somebody just takes question 1, question 2, somebody else takes question 3, or do you want a free for all on all 5 questions? I mean,
no, I think that actually taking a question sounds probably the best way, so that we're maybe focused.
Yeah. I mean, you might have different writing styles, so we'd probably have to go back and, tidy it up a little bit at the end. But, if one person could, I don't know if that could work. And then one person could do some research in terms of the price quotes and, all that kind of stuff on the budget, the descriptions of what you'd need for the budget. But, sometimes it's just easier just to divide up tasks and do it that way rather than everybody do everything.
Right.
Just a thought.
I think just knowing exactly what it is that we're asking for too. I know you kind of mentioned a lot of things like clarifying, like, are we going to move forward with the loop system? Are we focusing on furniture or, like kind of maybe have that list of things because obviously that's going to really help write the narrative.
Yeah.
We're probably going to need to have another internal meeting, I think, before we just start dividing things up.
Okay.
My perspective, maybe Christina feels differently. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'd be afraid to take a section and go, no, that's not what we meant.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. No.
Right.
Yeah. Good point. Good point. So, well, maybe maybe then, somewhere in the next couple of days, if there could be, I don't know what your scheduling is, because we've only got until a week from Thursday to get back together. So we could meet again as this group, like next Monday or something, if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But I think by then we'd have to still have, at least divided up some ideas for tasks and, the clarity. I think the loop system, as long as it is that kind of a portable one, Kate, you were talking about, that sounded like a reasonable cost and it's functional, I'd say go for it. I mean, I think that would be great. Yeah. The other thing, and I don't know, I'm not sure about this. I know at one point you guys had talked about some different lighting in there too, right? That the lighting in the senior center was bothering some individuals. Didn't I hear that?
Yeah, I think just as an example, Pam's mom, I think whether she has macular degeneration or whatever, but she said that type of lighting that we have is very difficult on her vision.
Yeah.
I've heard that. I believe, and of course, I believe a long time ago, I heard, a while ago, I heard that from someone else too.
But I don't know if that means that you'd switch from like the fluorescent to LEDs or what that would mean.
I feel like that's a lot to figure out in a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably not okay.
Right.
Let's leave that. That maybe we can figure that out separately some other time. But let's I think the furniture, the TV, the picnic tables, the loop system, I think all of those sound like they're a great idea. I mean, I think that's all doable, and it sounds like it could fit, and maybe the storage shed could still fit within that grant. I mean, I think that would be a good idea. So can we assume that maybe you guys on the COA level will get together sometime before Thursday and kind of figure out how to attack this? And then is that enough? I don't know. You pull the schedule together. We're just trying to help you pull it together, but it's really dependent on you all mostly in terms of what you need to.
I will probably, if you were able to figure out exactly what you're asking for by Thursday, I probably wouldn't be able to work on this until the weekend anyways.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think so. Yeah.
Yep.
So
we will work on it.
What's a good time? You want to try to schedule something now between Christina and Kate and Ted and see we're all on the same spot. I don't know.
Kate's not here tomorrow and is only here a half day on Wednesday. Yeah, that's so because Wednesday morning is of course a little crazy, so it might have to be actually on Thursday. I don't know what you think, Kate.
So Wednesday I'll be here until 1. So it's something, I don't have any appointments scheduled in the morning as of right now. So I'm pretty much free from 8 till 1 that day.
Okay. I mean, we could do like 10:30 on Wednesday.
Is that enough time for a couple hours, I guess?
You got the coffee hour, right? In the morning or?
Yes. Yeah. And then we have lunch. The food's been coming around noon.
Is an hour and a half enough time to clear our thoughts?
Well, I'm just saying it would be then, or it would have to probably be Thursday.
Is that Ted? What's your schedule like?
My schedule's fairly open except for Thursday morning. I mean, I can do Thursday morning at 11:30, something like that. I think we could from pickleball, but
Right.
But maybe Wednesday morning is that
Wednesday morning, 9:30.
Can we go 10? Because at 9:30 they're still working on through the coffee stuff, and I think it's what time's coffee kind of conclude?
By 10.
By 10. So sometime between 10 and 10:30.
We still have our craft crew here, but they're pretty self-sufficient. So,
And Pam and Darlene are there, right?
yeah, they will be.
like
Yep.
there's-
We'll have better coverage that morning.
Sometime 10:30, Christina.
Yeah.
It's at 10:30.
Okay. All right.
Okay. That sounds good. And then do you think you want to try and maybe, depending on that, maybe I'll just put in a temporary holder place for next Monday for a meeting like this, or
Yeah.
And
Kate
you
Rooks,
guys
how does
just
that work
update
for you?
The actual grant document with what you're thinking, or do you we just put your thoughts in there somewhere, or do you want to send a separate email?
Is it easier to keep it in the actual document than to copy and paste it again? It seems like, but
Yeah.
Whatever works easier for you, as long as I know what I'm doing.
yeah.
Yeah. No, we can stay within the document.
we can't guarantee you still know what you're doing, Kate. So
Yeah.
No, but I think the document I was just typing in, right? That was
Yeah.
the essential document. So let's keep working in that. And then whenever, Christina, you end up entering it into the SIG, I mean, you're going to have to cut and paste from that to the online version anyway,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So does that make sense? And so Kate, are you okay for a Monday meeting, Kate Rooks? Or
Yep. Mm-hmm.
okay, around the same time, 1:00ish?
That works.
Everybody? Does that work for everybody?
okay.
Yes, that's fine.
All right, I'll set it up for the grant meeting, but then you guys can get together in between time and
Yeah.
see where you're working. And if you have some needs of Kate or myself, holler.
do you want to make it
Okay.
10:15 on Wednesday then, and we'll just meet in the select board room?
Okay.
'Cause I know the COA is the senior center is a little.
Yep. Yeah. We would be interrupted. So, okay.
Good.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
And there's
All
enough
right.
people to get through lunch if we run over a little bit, right? I mean, Pam will be there. I'm probably Francine shows up.
And Darlene.
Darlene is there. So
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. Well, thank
All
you
right.
so much.
We'll let you guys go. Kate Rooks, hang in a minute,
Okay.
please. We'll go over a couple
Bye.
minutes. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
All right. Take care. Okay. Hey, Kate. All right. So thank you for sending some minutes around. I'm going to see if I can try to share some of these here. Let's see which one I pulled up, whichever one. Well, of course, they aren't going to be in order, but that's all right. So this is the one from 5/8 where or was our last one, I guess, where we started talking with Ty and Bond on the one-stop program in this sewer study.
Yes.
So I put in Joe's name and a couple of other tidbits here, and basically I think what I added, Kate, was partly more my question about whether we wanted to spend our time on this extensive one-stop grant or if I should start searching for some other ARPA money. I think that was how we left it, was that I was going to look for ARPA money, and then we would get, find out what Stephen and Alex were coming up with the study in terms of some modifications to the study and the mapping.
Mm-hmm.
And then me coming up with some ARPA money, and then that would determine whether or not we had to even worry about doing this application. So it's looking good. I spent some time with Bradley on Friday, and I think I can almost pull it together. Depending if they stay around that $30,000 mark. If they go a lot higher, I might be in trouble. But
That was my worry, is that it was going to end up being, double that.
yeah, I hope not. So I'm going to send a note back out to them. But so this is the meeting from the 8th. Would you like to make a motion to approve?
Yeah, sure. Make a
All
motion
right.
to approve the meeting minutes from the 8th, or do you want me to, just second it? Okay. We
Yeah.
can do them separately.
Yeah, I'll do them separately. Yeah, if I can pull them up. So this is the 8th. Okay, I'll second that. All in favor? Aye. All right. We'll knock that one out. Let's see. Who else can I pull up here? I had another one. Let's see. This was the very first one on the 24th. And this was just the very beginnings of just looking at the one-stop program and the SIG grant. Not a whole lot of detail. It was just Diana was here for that one.
I don't think we recorded that meeting, so
I don't think we did. No, there were a couple.
I think I went back and made this up today.
Yeah, no, I think there were some that we didn't record. They were just very short conversations. This was like a 40-minute meeting, maybe at most. I'm not even sure it went to 3:45 actually.
Honestly, I did a lot of guessing in these because there was
but this was pretty much just what we were trying to do for the draft DOI, and then just started talking about the SIG grant. So I think that was pretty self-explanatory too. So that was the end
I'll
of
make a
April
motion
meeting.
to approve it.
Yep. All right. Go for a motion. Yep. To approve.
Yep.
All right. I'll second that one. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Right. And then the last one you sent me, I think was the second. Let's see if I got the right one here. Oh, very good. Okay. So this was the SIG grant, which was in more detail. And this is what we started talking about when we had the COA folks there the last time, which was to narrow down these categories. So this was basically the one that led into today, where they had figured out the 3 categories, and then they were going to figure out which one that they wanted to do. So I think this is pretty accurate as well. So if you would
I'll make a motion to approve these minutes from, is it May 2nd?
It is May 2nd. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I'll second that. All right. All in favor?
All right.
Aye. All right. Good.
I need to reach out to them as well because I heard back from the Public Health Excellence Program and they wrote a list of stuff that they want to do at the COA. So I didn't want to take up a ton of time because I have to go by 2. But
okay.
I gave them a list of all this stuff and they want to set up a monthly meet the nurse kind of meeting at the COA and do some supportive programming, maybe offer some CPR. So that's nice. A good discussion. Yeah.
Okay, good. Now that'll be great to know. Okay. Glad to hear that. Okay, good. Well, hopefully we'll see. I'm not sure when Diana's getting back into town. Her dad's funeral was over the weekend here, so I'm assuming that she'll be coming back sometime soon. But I think we can, most of this, the COA's got to really work on this one. I mean, we can add a little bit to it, but I think the group of them working together will be able to pull it together and do whatever they need. But I think if, whatever you're currently using on that Amazon app thing or whatever it is, I mean, that sounds like the ideal idea. So it's nothing too sophisticated.
Yeah, I'll send it around. I can send like a screenshot of what I do. Yeah, no problem.
It doesn't have to be anything terribly sophisticated, I think. I mean,
it's not at all.
Yeah, so great. Okay, so at that point, I'll set up a meeting for next Monday at 1, just to see where they are on this, and hopefully we'll be ready to fine-tune something and get this one off the plate, okay? Mm-hmm. So with that, how about a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 1:53.
All right, sounds good. I will second that, and we will call ourselves adjourned. Thank you so much for joining.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.